everyone. My name is Pat Lawrence, and welcome to my show. Today, I'm taking a mental health break, and today we're just going to have fun. And with me, I have Phil ROSSONI. Did I pronounce it right? Yes. I have my wonderful Italian boy here with the red hair, and Phil is an expert on flying, and Phil is going to show us how to fly. Phil has had experience with gliders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and he's going to be talking all about that. And he's going to show you one amazing experiment right now. Okay, Phil?
All right, sure.
Do your thing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, watch him. This is just an amazing thing that he does with air currents. And I'm the controller in the tower, and he's flying this cute little pink plane with air currents, and he's delivered it right to me. Okay, Phil, you did what you wanted to do. You're an expert at this, and you have fun at it. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've always been interested in flight
Uh-huh.
From my earliest days. I felt like I was really a part of the early jet age.
Yeah.
And my parents were both born and brought up in Italy, so
Really?
we vacationed in Italy all the time.
Uh-huh.
And I have some very early memories of some sleepless nights on the aircraft.
Really?
With the
Yeah.
red beacon flashing on the engine, just looking out the window.
It's
and
a
wondering.
long way. Right. Yeah. So then you came over here with your parents to live, or how did that work?
I was born here in Boston,
Uh-huh.
but they were always drawn back to the place where they were born.
Uh-huh. People seem to do that, you know, they go back. I mean, Italy is gorgeous. Italy, I mean, I've been to Rome, and that's as far as it went, but Rome was just spectacular. They go there just to, you know, see the old and the new, and the beautiful landscape, and Italy is just, I mean, you just save up your money for years just so you can go to Italy. But anyways, okay, so you grew up, and then what happened?
Well, I started to build airplanes.
You did?
I really wanted to get my arms around this crazy thing.
Uh-huh.
And it was just one failure after another.
Oh, no.
Yes. The airplanes were all much too heavy.
Uh-huh.
And
What'd you build them out of?
well, I can remember one that was built out of an erector set.
Okay.
And steel is not a good material to build airplanes from.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever use wood?
Yes, eventually I came around to wood and
Uh-huh.
balsa. Yes, definitely.
Balsa?
Yes.
Okay. And don't they build gliders out of wood, or?
The older ones, yes.
Uh-huh.
The gliders that I happen to fly were mostly made from aluminum.
Really?
Yeah, and nowadays they are all made from fiberglass.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, aluminum is a very lightweight metal,
Yes.
but fiberglass, doesn't that break easy?
Fiberglass, I suppose so. I'm no materials
Yeah, I
expert.
suppose aluminum would bend easy. But either way, tell me about a glider, because they say you have never flown until you've flown in a glider. And to be up there in such peace and quiet, and because there's no roar of the engines going, there's no, unless you're talking to yourself, there's no noise. Maybe you bring a little portable radio, I don't know. But tell me about flying in a glider. I really have always wanted to do that.
Well, there always is going to be some noise
Yeah.
because a glider needs to fly pretty fast. So there's pretty much a tropical storm, if not a hurricane, raging outside the glider just to keep it in the air.
Those are the wind currents.
Well, it is a kind of falling.
Really?
A kind of falling, yes.
Uh-oh.
Where, but it is falling at a very shallow, very slow descent rate.
Uh-huh. Well, tell me, how do you get it up in the air? It's towed, isn't it?
Yes,
by
yes
plane?
it is, yes.
And then let go.
And let go.
And that second it's let go, you got to know what you're doing. Or, you know, there's always the ground that's a couple of 1,000 feet below.
There are certain realities
Yeah.
you need to plan. With your altitude, for example, in a very good glider, you can go more or less 40 or 50 miles for every mile of altitude that you have. Of course, that depends on which way the wind is blowing, too.
Right. Right. I mean, I've seen these big hot air balloons go up there, and you know, the wind just pushes them along, etc. That's very similar to a glider, is it? No. You're the expert.
Yes. The balloon is lighter than air. The whole package is lighter than the air. So it's actually floating.
Okay. What does that hot air do? That hot air, that fire that I've seen, it does something to the balloon to make it stay up there.
Yes, well, that's a whole lot of hot air.
Right. It is a whole lot of hot air.
Yes.
But a glider doesn't have that.
No.
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 So you flew a glider for how long?
I have been flying gliders since 1995.
Wow.
And before that, I had private. I got my private license, private pilot license, in 1984. So I flew engine-powered aircraft before that.
So did any of these airplanes that you built, did any of them ever work?
Oh, eventually we were buying things from the store, and we had a little help.
So it did work.
It did work. Yes, yes, yes. We were making very good gliders with very good glide ratios, as they call them. They come down quite slowly for so forth. Yes, and so to get back to your thing about the ground coming up at you, when you're in a glider, the problem usually, if you plan everything properly, is how to come down faster without gaining too much speed. So instead of saying, oh, we're running out of altitude, you're saying, okay, well, we were conservative and now we have too much altitude and we want to put it down here. So we must, and gliders nowadays are equipped with things that come out and into the airflow and say, no, we don't want to go that fast anymore. Now we just want to get ourselves down here without going too fast, without falling too fast.
Yeah.
So.
They do have wheels, don't they?
They have wheels, thank God.
Oh,
they have
good.
wheels.
They just don't have a bottom that lands. No. So you're not flying gliders right now?
Yes, it's fairly. It's expensive. It takes a lot of time, and I love them all back at the glider port and so forth. But there comes a time where you need to give back to your sport. And I tried to become a flight instructor, and I get airsick. So
You're kidding me.
I do get airsick. Yes, I do.
Oh
And
my goodness.
so becoming a flight instructor was I was not able to succeed. So I looked for other ways to share the experience of piloting an aircraft with people.
Now, isn't there something you can do for this air sickness? I mean, they have so many things out nowadays that that can stop you from being airsick. Have you tried them all?
I have tried some, and they do work very well. They do work very well, but
Not completely.
I think that to be dependent upon something like that is,
Yeah.
I think that was it. The instructors that were teaching me how to be a flight instructor were saying, look, when you get in with a student, he's just going to be experimenting with the airplane,
Yeah.
and here's the way it's going to be. And they did their thing, and I don't think I took Dramamine that day, and I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to save my student from himself. So.
That's too bad.
So that's a good
really.
thing then.
But at least you have broadened yourself out to something that still incorporates something you love. Yeah, I mean, you're a flight instructor, and from what I understand, you are helping out a lot of kids learn, and that's very important. What do you do? I mean, I know you're at the Science Museum now, and you mentioned when you emailed me that you were there when the last launch went up from NASA.
That's right. Yes, the last space shuttle launch.
Oh, you know that's kind of sad. It really is sad, because I've loved science fiction. I really do, and I've always thought perhaps someday we might be able to keep on going, you know, take the moon, you know, and put it as a landing spot and keep on going somewhere else. And maybe someday, you know, maybe 1,000 years from now, if people are still inhabiting this planet, maybe they will, because maybe they'll have to. You know, we've kind of made a mess out of our Earth right now, and unless we do something about it, you know, it's only lasting. I mean, people are destroying it. So, but anyways, you are teaching children, and you are at the Science Museum. Tell me, what do you like about that?
Well, it gives me the opportunity to interact with anybody that walks in the door. So they're not only children, but they're also
People like me
people who are
that don't know a thing about aviation.
who don't speak English, or who are blind or deaf. All these different types of people, and you need to tailor your activity. You need to get their attention, and maybe provide something for everybody, an experience for everybody. I'm very fortunate to be able to volunteer at the Science Museum.
Yeah, you are. I mean, it's an amazing place. All right, say you had a blind person come in. How would you?
Oh, wow.
I know you could help them with that. I mean, we're not going to wash our hair here.
Oh, wow.
But I know you could teach him something with that little instrument there that we use every day.
Yeah, let's see.
But you would teach him a different thing with that instrument.
How could we do that? With a blind person, you would need to talk about wind in some way. I also have another experiment that we can do a little later. But I guess with a blind person, I would turn this on and have them feel the wind in a certain way. That wind is what we're talking about. What is wind? What does it feel like? Give them the feeling of it, how it pushes on you. It pushes on you when it moves.
What is wind? Wind is current. What is wind? So that pushes out its own wind. It's not like the wind on the Earth that is in different directions.
Well, with this one, we can direct a jet in a certain direction, and there are curious things that happen. And I can do this experiment for you, just to show you. I would, for many years, I struggled with this particular demonstration, why it works. But let's not worry about why it works. Let's just watch and see what happens. So I turn it on, and it sticks so much to the camera, to this, I can tilt it several degrees and it still stays up.
And that's one of the experiments that a blind person could actually understand,
Well,
in a way.
I wish that they could. Maybe there is a way of taking this visual image and showing them somehow the way that would work. But what amazed me is why does the ball stay in the flowing air? Why is it attracted to the fastest moving air?
Mm-hmm.
And the best explanation I have right now is that the air is moving fastest in the center, and when it goes a little bit outside of the flow, some of the air is moving faster on one side than the other. And a guy by the name of Bernoulli says that this air is going to direct the air in a direction, in that direction, which will cause the ball to move in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes over here. So, and the same thing happens on the other side, and that's what keeps it in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps it on there.
Okay. Now getting back to gliders, because they are my very favorite thing. And yours. Can more than one person fit in a glider?
Yes.
How many?
Well, two mainly.
Two would be the limit.
Two. Not the limit, not necessarily the
Really?
limit, no. You could make, in World War II there were gliders that flew during D-Day. They were towed across the English Channel with, I think, more than 10 soldiers per glider. And they
Really?
came in for a silent landing behind enemy lines.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a story in itself.
It is.
It really is. So they came in behind enemy lines, so they were able to go forward and do what they had to do. So they towed them across the English Channel and let them go. That's amazing. That's something to read about. I gotta look that up in the internet. And what else have they used gliders for, other than entertainment?
Well, there you go. The space shuttle is a glider.
Aha. Okay, you're right on that, because that big rocket takes it up so far and then lets it go.
Well, it takes it a lot farther than regular gliders would go.
Oh, yeah.
It takes it into outer space.
Right.
So it flies beyond, well, it flies, it is thrust up so far away from the Earth, outside the atmosphere.
Okay. And it has engines of its own, so if it needs to change its path of direction, it can just do that.
Yes, well, not very...
Easily?
It's not very powerful. It doesn't have much energy to actually fly.
Okay.
But it has energy to change. It's just enough to slow itself down so that it can re-enter the atmosphere.
Okay. I've seen it come down. Yeah. And it has wheels.
Fortunately, yes.
Yeah, right. Right. So yes, space shuttle is a glider. And do we know anything else about any other kinds of gliders?
Well, any airplane with engines on it turns into a glider when the engines somehow don't work anymore, or the pilot can turn off the engines. I don't think he would do that in his right mind.
No.
But pilots actually do that. It's a routine part of their training to
Really?
prepare for engine failure, yes.
All right. And okay, so say the engines, all of them failed, and they'd have to come down.
Yes.
And yes, you're right, they'd glide down, and they would have to be told by traffic control where they could land. And that's a very serious thing.
Yes, it is, and it's the lower you are, the less options you have.
Really?
So, for example, when the pilot of the aircraft that landed on the Hudson River, he had very, very little time to think about how to get his crew and his passengers down safely,
Right.
with nobody getting hurt, and it can be done.
Yeah, we saw that. How low was he? Very,
Oh, boy.
very low?
I can't remember, but I'll throw out a number, about 3,000 feet, which is pretty low.
Okay. And he came down in the river.
He came in the river and saved everybody, yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that, when you stop and think about it, that was an amazing thing that
It
he
was
did.
very amazing, and
Yeah.
something that we all prepare for. That's the way we would, we don't want the engines to quit,
Right.
but if they have to quit, that's the way it's,
You want to have a river down below you.
or, yeah, you must think quickly for whatever you have.
You don't want the ocean down below you.
If it has to be the ocean, then it has to be the ocean. You
Right.
have to make do, and we're told to land parallel to the waves, not perpendicular to the waves. So we're all rooting for getting everybody down as safely as possible.
Right. That plane stayed. It floated, and these people were able to get out. What made it float and not sink? Do you have any idea on that one?
Well, all airplanes are made out of fairly light materials, but aluminum does sink.
Right.
But in his case, all aircraft will float because they have. It takes a while for the water to enter into the aircraft. It's fairly well sealed. It has a pressurized chamber, and it takes a good amount of time for it to sink.
Does it?
Enough time that people can get out and go wing walking. They were all wing walking.
They were wing walking. So if it landed in the ocean, it would float for a while.
It would float for a while. If it successfully landed in the ocean, yes.
Right.
And the key here is getting the aircraft to be going as slowly as possible, descending as slowly as possible when you impact, to minimize the breakup of the aircraft. So you certainly you want to minimize the descent rate. So in other words, you're just about not going down anymore before you hit the water, and that's the best way to ensure the most people survive.
And you don't want to land that way, you know.
Right.
Would you
Yes.
want to land with the tail first?
Yes, probably. I haven't done. If I
Thank
had
God.
gone on to get
Yes.
Airline transport, I probably would, and get certified in much larger aircraft, I probably would know the answer to that question.
I would think landing, you know, with the tail first, the plane would go that way. But yet it's still going at a rapid amount of speed that you don't know exactly what's going to happen. Let's not even think about that. Let's go back to gliders. That was an amazing experiment that you did with this cute little piece of paper, and you told me exactly what it was before the show, and this is from a florist.
That's right.
Yes. And does it make any difference that this is from a florist? Could you do this with any piece of paper? I noticed that it's on each side. It's folded. Is
That's
that
right.
what-
Yep.
You do that? So any child could just do this.
Yes.
But do they have to fold it on four sides?
Yes. They probably would.
Okay.
Yes.
People, children out there, fold your little piece of paper on four sides, you know, and this little part is sticking up a little. Is that?
That's right. Yeah, to the longer edge. Yes. One is sticking up, and the other is sticking in the opposite direction, on the
Okay.
longer sides. Yeah.
All right. Show me where the other one is sticking in the other direction.
Okay. So we have, these are the little winglets. I like to call them winglets. And by the way, this is a design that was invented by a man by the name of John Collins. He's also known as the paper airplane guy.
Really?
And he has a wonderful series of books on paper airplanes out. So I wanted to give him credit for that. So the two little winglets. If you like, I can make one for you. Would you like to learn how to make them?
Sure, do it.
Here's what I do with the kids,
Do it.
because they love to work with their hands. Okay, so we'll take the longer edge, and we'll fold just a little bit. Oh, and I also do a little bit of, I try and have them observe that it's kind of a floppy piece of paper now.
Floppy,
Okay.
got floppy.
And now we're going to fold one edge
Yeah,
a little way, so about at a 45-degree angle.
okay,
Okay?
got it.
And look at what happened to the piece of paper.
Well, it got smaller.
Well, it's not floppy anymore. See the
Oh,
difference?
Okay,
There you go.
I'll go along with that.
Floppiness. So we've strengthened it a little bit.
Yes, you certainly did. It's not floppy.
Now
Okay.
we'll take the other edge and we'll fold it the same way in the opposite direction.
Ah, okay, so you got a little rudder here.
Right.
Neato. Okay, we got that.
Okay. Now the airplane kind of works in this state, right? It does kind of work, but what you find is that
Mine doesn't work like yours does.
it starts to go sideways. It would
Yeah.
go sideways, and that's where the winglets come in, right here. These little winglets.
Okay,
So I'm just going to fold a little bit of that up, a 90 degrees, right like that.
all right.
90
Are
degrees.
you watching, people?
Oh, 90 degrees. Fold there, up like this.
Yes.
And this is going to be the dominant fold, so we're going to sort of forget about our long edge folds and just have that winglet be a little bit like that.
Somehow mine doesn't look like yours. I'm folding it backwards, that's why. Okay, so why don't you experiment one more time, because we have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
How
Can I take your
this?
glider?
No,
and
you
fly
can't.
it?
It's a horrible glider. It is. It's.
The children are always making these, and I want to give them the confidence.
Well, they have more
the
intelligence than I do.
confidence. I think it will work
They
just
do it
fine.
all the time,
I think
that's
it'll
why.
just work fine. And I'll show it to
I
you.
haven't done it in 100 years.
Okay.
Okay,
This
with
is-
my glider, people, look at that.
Oops.
See, you can't do it. Do it with your own glider.
Okay, here we go.
Oh my goodness, look at that. I should have put my name on it. Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you, thank you. And thank you for being on my show. And thank you for showing us aviation and how to have fun. This is the whole idea, how to have fun. How your kids can make little gliders and race them all over the house. Then you should be in for a good summer. Anyways, thank you, Phil. We had a great time. You're a great instructor. You must have a wonderful time at the Science Museum. And someday when you get that glider going again, I want to ride it. Okay?
You bet, you bet.
Will you remember my phone number?
I will.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're off for right now, and we're going to see you back, and it will be shortly. Thank you so much for watching, and I had a great time. It was a good mental health day. Thank you. Bye-bye.